Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another video here on the SSA Philosophy channel, where we dive right on into the philosophy of characters from video games to TV shows to movies, etc., etc. So, in today's video, we're going to be going over the philosophy of the character known as John Bender. So, as always, without any further ado, let us go right on ahead and let's get started. So, John Bender, the rebellious heartthrob from the John Hughes classic coming of age film, The Breakfast Club. Really, he's more than just a stereotypical bad boy because, yes, he embodies the archetypal high school delinquent, clad in ripped jeans, a leather jacket, and a constant smirk. He's quick with a sarcastic quip, a rebellious sneer, and a dismissal of authority figures, particularly the uptight assistant principal Vernon. And of course, his signature line, of course, "Eat my shorts," is a popular culture touchstone, which really is a battle cry of teenage defiance. But really beneath the swagger really lies a very complex individual. Because unlike some teen movie archetypes, Bender's defiance really it isn't born out of, maliciousness, because the tension becomes a stage really for his sharp wits and sardonic observations, about the arbitrary labels placed on teenagers. Because really he challenges the very foundation of the detention, questioning why five vastly different students are lumped together under the same punishment. So really, as the day progresses, the walls that Bender has built around himself, really they begin to crumble. Because really, these forced interaction with other detainees, like Brian, who's the brain, and Andrew, who's the athlete, Allison, who's the basket case, and also Claire, who's the princess. Really, it exposes, like, say, a vulnerability beneath, the tough exterior of John Bender's character, because he bonds with all of the characters really in the film, really, which really reveals a depth that really goes beyond, like, say, beyond the criminal label, pretty much the criminal label, that assistant principal Vernon had assigned him. So really, Bender's journey really it's one of self-discovery because he grapples with a fractured family life into that, through his scathing remarks about his parents. And his rebelliousness seems less about being a bad boy and more about a desperate attempt really to carve out his own identity, separate from, the expectations thrust upon him. So John Bender overall is very much a compelling character because really he defies easy categorization because he's the bad boy with a hidden heart. The cynic who yearns for connection. Really he represents the frustration and anger simmering beneath the surface of many teenagers. Yearning to be seen for who they truly are and not the labels assigned to them. And really his journey in the Breakfast Club really it resonates because it reminds us that beneath the stereotypes that really every teenager is an individual with a story waiting to be told. So with the introduction all out of the way so far, let's go on ahead and really dive into the philosophy of John Bender's character, in which I like to call the Bender Manifesto, a philosophy of disruption. So John Bender, this rebellious core of the Breakfast Club, wields cynicism like a weapon because his barbed wit, a shield against a world that feels prepackaged and phony. But really beneath the sneer lies a surprisingly coherent, if unconventional, philosophy. So really, let's go on ahead and really dive into the tenets of Bender's worldview, starting off with the first one being shatter the labels. So society loves its categories, brain, athlete, basket case, princess, but Bender, he rejects them because he exposes the artificiality of these labels, showing how they restrict, how they distort who we truly are. Because really, we are messy contradictions, not simply characters in a high school stereotype plate. So really, Bender, like this part of his philosophy, really, it's not like, readily apparent because he operates in a world of defiance, a constant middle finger really to the expectations, thrust upon him because he disrupts the tension with pranks, he mocks the authority figures, and he clashes with the other detainees. And really, this initial impression really it paints him as a troublemaker. a rebel without a cause. And however, as the forced, confinement progresses, the cracks really in Bender's facade really begin to show because really his sharp barbs, carry really a tinge of vulnerability because his wisecracks, pretty much masking a pretty much his wisecracks are pretty much masking a deeper dissatisfaction because we do learn really we do learn of a strained relationship with his parents, a loveless household that simply fuels his anger and mistrust. And really the rebellion, then really it becomes a shield, a way for him pretty much to deflect, from the pain simmering beneath the surface. So really Bender, like this part of his philosophy, really it's really this part about, his philosophy itself. This really isn't really about, blind opposition, but really it's about rejecting the labels that limit and define. Because he sees the hypocrisy in, really like saying the social hierarchy of Sherma High. You know, the arbitrary lines, drawn between like the basket case, the criminal, and the princess, and the brain, So really his defiance really is really a desperate attempt to assert his own identity, to prove that really, like there's more, to him than the criminal tag that the school has assigned him. So really, this is simply just the beginning, really overall of the exploration of John Bender's philosophy, really. So really in the Breakfast Club. So really as the day itself and the movie as it really unfolds, we're gonna go on ahead really to delve even more deeper into his motivations, his vulnerability, and the rebellion that becomes a cry for connection. Going on ahead with another part of his philosophy, which basically is question authority, especially when it sucks. So assistant principal Vernon, pretty much, I would say in this case that he embodies the soul crushing tedium of authority because Bender's defiance, however obnoxious, is really a call for, genuine connection, not blind obedience because true authority comes from understanding, and not from power trips. So really, Bender isn't just some, really he isn't just a disruptive kid, but he constantly challenges the status quo, because Principal Vernon's detention basically is punishment without understanding. A system designed to control, not educate. And Bender, he exposes the hypocrisy. The adults who enforce these rules haven't necessarily earned his respect. And then when it comes down to like, true authority, because true authority, for Bender, really it comes from, genuine connection and earned respect. And he even recognizes it, like say in the janitor known as Call, who may not hold a formal position of power, but commands respect, through his experience and wisdom. And also the film cleverly uses stereotypes to represent, different social groups. And Bender rejects these labels because he doesn't want to be defined as a criminal, by the school or a basket case, by his own peers. But really he craves authenticity and individuality. Really Bender's defiance. Really it might be seen as disruptive, but it also gives voice to those who feel unheard because he challenges the power structure on behalf of everyone, stuck in, detention, which really is a microcosm of societal pressures. So really this part of Bender's philosophy, really it's not about, it's not about blind rebellion, but really it's a call for critical thinking because really what he does is that he encourages us to really question the systems that, we're forced into, to challenge authority when it's undeserved, and to even value our own individuality. So, the Breakfast Club pretty much reminds us that blind acceptance of authority is dangerous. And Bender, even though he's flawed, a flawed character, he does embody, like, say, really the importance, the importance of questioning, challenging, and ultimately forging your own path. And also another part I want to focus on into is embracing, pretty much embrace the, pretty much embrace the absurdity. So really high school, you know, with its cliques and rituals, can really feel like a bad reality show. And really Bender's humor, though dark it is, forces us pretty much to confront, this absurdity. Because laughter, like laughter, even, cynical laughter can be a weapon against the meaninglessness, that, we sometimes feel. So yeah, so Bender's world is devoid of inherent meaning because the tension, a supposed punishment becomes a microcosm, of the larger societal structures that he rejects. And the arbitrary rules and the hierarchies become a joke, a punchline, to the cosmic absurdity. And really he pushes boundaries and defies authority figures, like assistant principal Vernon, not out of malice, but really out of a refusal to play by a game that he sees as meaningless. So for Bender, embracing the absurd, it isn't nihilism, but it's liberation. It's basically him being free from those shackles of societal expectations because really he forges his own path, because he finds solace in individuality and authenticity, even if it comes across as abrasive. And really in his cynical humor and, nonconformity, it lies a genuine yearning for connection because his attraction for Claire, pretty much his, attraction for Claire Standish, the seemingly uptight good girl, really it stems from a recognition of a kindred spirit, someone who beneath the surface, might share his own sense, of delusionment. And the thing also about, this part of Bender's philosophy, it really is that it resonates because it acknowledges the inherent absurdity of the human condition. Because, we grapple with, these, because really we grapple with the existential questions in a universe that really offers no easy answers. And really, Bender's response is simply just to laugh in the face of it all, to find human in the, pretty much to find humor in the nonsensical and to forge connections in the face of isolation. So really, this part of his philosophy, it might not really offer, like, say, comfort, but it offers a certain freedom. The freedom to define your own meaning in a world that offers none. So really, this is just, one interpretation of Bender's character and the Breakfast Club philosophy, because there is room for further exploration, and these room for further exploration can be like, how does Bender's life, approach? Like, I mean, pretty much how does his, I mean, pretty much how does Bender's approach to life? How does that compare to other characters in the film? And does embracing the absurd doesn't necessarily mean rejecting all societal norms? And also, can Bender's philosophy lead to a sense of purpose or fulfillment? So, really, by delving deeper into these questions, we can continue to really unpack the complexities of John Bender and really the enduring message of the Breakfast Club in its entirety. And also, another part I want to focus on is really feel the feels, even the uncomfortable ones. So, really, Bender, his anger and his defiance, like I said before, are really a mask for deeper pain because he challenges the expectation of emotional repression, particularly for boys, and vulnerability isn't a weakness, but it's the messy truth of being human. So really, when it comes to Bender, when it comes to like his discomfort overall can come at these things, which is a loss of control, the fear of vulnerability, and shame and hurt. Now, when it comes to loss of control, Bender feels controlled by his parents. Pretty much controlled by his parents. Specifically his father. And teachers and the societal labels, thrust upon him because he rebels against this perceived, lack of agency, resorting to outbursts and defiance. And when it comes to the fear of vulnerability, because Bender, he struggles to express his true emotions, fearing rejection or appearing weak. And his constant need pretty much to be the tough guy, masks like a yearning for connection and understanding, and that's the reason why, he pretty much acts the way that he acts, pretty much early on throughout the movie, pretty much throughout the film itself. That's why he acts the way that he acts because, he's afraid pretty much to express his true emotions, fearing rejection or, appearing as coming off as weak. That's why he pretty much puts on that mask of being a tough guy because of that fact. And really, when it comes to shame and hurt, Bender's rebelliousness, really it might stem from really the deeper issues like a broken home, neglect, or past trauma. And these experiences really they could feel his need, to push others away and avoid intimacy. And really, when it comes down to it, when it comes to the price of repression, Bender's emotional repression ultimately it isolates him because he alienates others with his negativity and creates a barrier to true connection. And really, this keeps him trapped in a cycle of anger and resentment, hindering his personal growth. And also, when it comes down to it, the thing is that there is a path, a path to growth, and the three parts overall when it comes to the path to growth is vulnerability as a strength, breaking the cycle, and finding his own voice. Now, when it comes to vulnerability as strength, the film subtly hints at Bender's capacity for empathy because he listens to like Claire's struggles and connects with her on a deeper level, and even like not just with Claire but even like say with like other characters like I mean even like Andrew for example, and even though like the Claire I mean he does like connect with her on a deeper level, but I'm pretty sure he pretty much puts it on like in a sort of like different tone and manner as you can pretty much see, when all five of the characters pretty much all like rounded up, pretty much all pretty much letting out pretty much all of their emotions, letting about, how they all got into like the tension and everything, and really just, really a moment in where they're really just letting it all out. And yeah, and really honestly, I would say that's definitely one of I think my opinion, probably my favorite scene, really in the film itself. In my personal opinion, I think that's my favorite scene in the movie. But yeah, but really though, it's like him, listening to struggles, really like say of all these characters, really really overall, like this glimpse, of him actually, pretty much, showing some capacity for empathy is, pretty much it suggests that vulnerability isn't weakness, but really it's a path to authentic connection. And also when it comes to like overcoming like emotional repression, really overcoming, really when it comes to like, breaking the cycle, my apologies, but when it comes to like breaking the cycle, overcoming emotional repression, really it takes courage, because recognizing his underlying pain and the negative impact on himself and others would be a crucial first step for Bender. And then when it also comes to finding his own voice, Bender's rebellious spirit can be channeled, productively because he could develop healthier ways to express himself, perhaps through creative outlets like music or writing. But truthfully though, Bender's journey really in the film, really it serves as a reminder, that facing uncomfortable emotions allows for true growth and connection. So while his initial path is one of rebellion, the film leaves a, glimmer of hope that he can choose a different path, one in where he acknowledges and embraces his feelings, even the ones that make him uncomfortable. And also another part we want to focus on and cover is really, to find your tribe, even if it's unexpected. So really stuck in detention, Bender, bonds with the very people that he mocks. And this unlikely connection highlights, the universality, pretty much, the universality of teenage, angst. Because we may seem different, but beneath the labels, we all crave connection and understanding. And then, so yeah, so really, when it comes to Bender, like he rejects the labels. Like I said before, he rejects the labels thrust upon him because, like in this case, the basket case, known as Allison, basically she sees a vulnerability, that he masks, with sarcasm, and the athlete Andrew recognizes a frustration with authority, that they both share, and really through their forced attention, Bender discovers a tribe in the most unexpected place, a group of high school stereotypes, and really Bender's initial defiance, really it crumbles as the day progresses because he reveals his fractured family life, the root of his anger, and really this vulnerability. It resonates with others in the really it resonates with others in the group. Like it resonates like with Claire, like say with other people like Allison, even with Brian. I mean, really it resonates with a lot of the characters, honestly, when he's explaining, his fractured family life, his household and whatnot. So really, like, I mean, that really resonates with a lot of the characters, each who are all grappling with their own struggles. So really, in sharing their vulnerabilities, they discover a shared, humanity that really transcends the social categories. So really, Bender, really, beyond that rebellion, you know, really his, really his rebellion, it takes on a new meaning because it's not really just a rejection of authority, but really it's a desperate search, for belonging. And really, when it comes to, like, the ending, because really the ending of Breakfast Club, it really leaves the future uncertain. But the shared experience has really cracked open their carefully, constructed personas. And really, as they walk out of the library, I mean, they're no longer, just, like, say, the criminal, the brain, the princess, the basket case, the athlete. I mean, really, they've all glimpsed, the possibility of connection, beyond their labels. Okay. So really, Bender's journey, his journey really, it really reminds us, that, finding your own tribe. Really, it isn't about, fitting in, but it's about finding others, who see, beyond the mask and, accept you, for who you are, vulnerabilities and all. And really, the most unexpected encounters really can lead to the most, profound connections, forging a path, towards a future, less lonely and more authentic. And ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much overall is really coming down to the conclusion, of this video here today. But overall, Bender's philosophy, really it's messy, it's confrontational, and oftentimes is hilarious. But really, it's also called really. Really, it's also like a call, to authenticity. A rejection of conformity, and a reminder that sometimes the most profound truths are shouted by the class clown. And John Bender, so like the rebellious core of the Breakfast Club, really he undergoes a significant transformation throughout the film. Because initially presented as the cynical antagonist, a sneer, permanently etched on his face, and a cigarette dangling from his lips, Bender hides a well of pain and insecurity, beyond his bravado. Really, he defines himself, by his outside, pretty much, defines himself, by his outsider, status. The sarcastic jester who pushes boundaries and mocks authority. However, though, forced confinement, with his polar opposite classmates, really it strips away, his defenses because really, as it progresses, the facade crumbles because he bonds with the other detainees, surprised to find common ground with the uptight Brian, the enigmatic, like, say, Claire, the basket case Allison, and the wrestler Andrew. So really, they all discover, beneath their carefully constructed high school personas, a shared vulnerability. The pressure of parental expectations, the ache of lonely, pretty much the ache of loneliness, and the confusion of adolescence. So really, Bender's turning point really it arrives, when he really confronts Andrew, the athlete, and really their initial animosity, one that was filled by social stereotypes. Really, it starts melting. Really, it melts away as they really delve deeper, into their personal struggles. And even Bender, the self-proclaimed criminal, recognizes the emotional abuse, that Andrew, suffers at the hands of his demanding father. And really, this moment of empathy, really, it shatters Bender, his carefully constructed image of apathy, because he's forced to confront his own pain and the anger stemming from a likely dysfunctional home life, never explicitly shown to, pretty much, never has been, like, explicitly shown in the film. And really, this newfound vulnerability, it extends to Claire, because his initial antagonism, really, towards her transforms, into a grudging respect, then a tentative connection. And really their contrasting social circles, really it dissolved, pretty much, as they share the secrets and laughter. So really the film, it doesn't really offer, like, say, a happily ever after romance, but really their parting exchange, a stolen kiss and the gift of an earring. Really, it suggests a newfound understanding and the potential for a deeper connection outside the confines of detention. So really, Bender's triumphant fist bump at the film's end. Now, really, it isn't just a victory lap for getting the girl, but really, it's a symbol of his personal growth because he shed the mask of the jaded cynic and begun to really embrace his vulnerability because he's discovered a capacity for connection, a sense of belonging, that he previously rejected. And the walls that he built around himself have begun to crumble. And really, as he walks out into the dawning light, the audience is left, with the hopeful possibility that John Bender might finally be ready to face the world, not as a self proclaimed, criminal, but as a human being. So really Bender's journey in the Breakfast Club, really it resonates a lot because it really speaks to a universal truth, that beneath the labels and the social masks, that we all wear, we all grapple with, similar anxieties and we all long for connection. And his transformation is a testament to the power of human interaction, the ability to find understanding and acceptance even in the most unexpected places. And really he serves as a reminder that sometimes the greatest act of rebellion is allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And that, of course, ladies and gentlemen, that is, of course, the end of this video here today. And as always, if you, of course, stayed this far and watching this video here today, I want to thank you and I really appreciate you all. And also thank you once again for all the support that I've gotten so far on the channel thus far. And I really do appreciate it. I really do, love each and every single one of you guys for it, of course, because, this channel has done a very good job, very quite good job indeed as of late. So, of course, as always, if you like this video, of course, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment and subscribe, for more explorations, into the minds of your favorite characters on this channel. And also to hit the notification bell to also stay updated on my latest videos. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much is it here today. So of course, I want you all to have a very beautiful, blissful, and wonderful day today. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, always remember to always be smooth, to always be steady, and to always be aggressive. Peace.